2. Alana's 18th birthday. Alana POV. I woke up thinking about Lance again. Ever since that day, when I helped him escape from the pack's dungeon, I couldn't get that cute werecat off my mind. He was the only one who had ever been truly nice to me, besides my parents. The last few weeks, I had been mentally preparing myself to leave the pack, and I was more determined than ever to make that happen. Once I got away from Julie and her mean ways, it would be easier for me to come up with a good plan to get my revenge on her. Since it was my 18th birthday, I decided to wear my prettiest light pink dress with leggings and flats that matched the dress perfectly. After that, I pulled my white hair up into a nice bun. Then I applied a light coat of pink eyeshadow, followed by a little blush and a little pink lipstick. As I gazed at my reflection in the mirror, my lips curved up to form a smile. Even though I was still as pale as a ghost, I thought I looked prettier than usual. Feeling more confident than usual, I grabbed my book bag. Then I headed downstairs to the kitchen. Both of my parents were quick to give me hugs and say, "Happy birthday." Then my mom handed me a plate with pancakes, bacon, and a fried egg. I sat down and ate as much of the delicious food as my stomach could handle. Then I pecked a kiss on both of their cheeks before I headed to school. Nobody said a word to me as I walked from my house to the school, and I was relieved when I made it there without having a run-in with Julie. However, the closer I got to the school, the more excited my wolf became. When I stepped inside, one particular scent instantly tickled my nose, and it was a scent I knew all too well. Right away, I decided to quickly make my way to my first class, with a sense of dread settling in the pit of my stomach. As soon as I walked into the classroom, my eyes instinctively scanned the room until they locked with the ice blue eyes of Kyle Maddox, who had recently become the new alpha of the Great Forest Pack. I watched his eyes go wide. Then he jumped up and sprinted straight to me. The second Kyle reached me, he wrapped his arms around my waist. Then he snuggled his face in the crook of my neck as he incoherently chanted, "Mate, mate, mate." I didn't know what else to do, so I wrapped my arms around him. Then I solemnly mumbled, "Kyle, you can just reject me now. I know that's what you were going to do anyways." Right away, he lifted his face back up and gazed into my eyes as he adamantly stated, "I would never do such a thing. You are my mate, and that's how it's meant to be." "What if I don't want to stay here with this pack?" I retorted, in all seriousness. Kyle was quick to grab my arm. Then he pulled me into the hallway before he angrily asked, "Are you rejecting me as your mate, Alana?" For some reason, when my name rolled off his tongue, my body instantly trembled as a chill ran down my spine. I nervously cleared my throat. Then I timidly replied, "I know I'm weak and not fit to be a Luna, just like I know how much you like to have fun with Julie. So you tell me, what's the point of pretending?" Kyle's eyes quickly softened. Then he grabbed my hand and brought it up to his lips. After he placed a soft kiss on the back of my hand, he softly murmured, "I don't want Julie. I want my mate." I released a small sigh. Then I nonchalantly responded, "Let's just get through this school day. Then we can talk more about it later." "Fine," he huffed, before he pulled me back into the classroom. Kyle didn't let go of my hand until we reached my desk. Then he waited for me to sit down before he walked away and sat back down at his desk. Every few minutes, he would glance back at me and smile. But all that did was make it harder for me to focus on my schoolwork. When it came time for lunch, Kyle wouldn't leave my side the whole time, and I was starting to think he really did want me to be his mate. He was being especially sweet, and he kept offering to help with anything he could every chance he got. It felt nice to have him doting on me, but I couldn't help feel like it was all just an act. I hoped it wasn't, but I kept my guard up. It was something I had grown used to doing from all the years of being teased and bullied. By the time school ended for the day, I was beyond ready to go home and have a little space from Kyle so I could think about everything. However, Kyle had a different plan in mind. I didn't even make it off the school's property before Kyle caught up to me and grabbed my hand. When I started to walk in the direction of my house, he pulled me a different direction and insisted, "I will drive you home. Then we can tell your parents that we are mates and you're moving in with me." Instantly, I pulled my hand out of his grasp as I sheepishly stated, "Kyle, I need time to think about everything." "No," he snarled in frustration. Then he took a deep breath and more calmly stated, "I refuse to allow you to reject me. You are my mate and the Luna of this pack. We are going to get your stuff, then you're coming home with me, where I can keep you safe." "My parents have done a great job keeping me safe," I indignantly retorted. "Nobody is saying otherwise. However, once word spreads that you are the Luna, others might try to hurt you," he anxiously explained. I huffed at him, then begrudgingly mumbled, "Fine, whatever." I could feel my heart beating faster, and I didn't want to chance having a fainting spell, so I decided not to argue any more about it. I followed Kyle to his cherry red Porsche, then he drove to my house. It was the first time I had ever ridden in such a nice car, and I couldn't stop admiring the car's beauty. The seats were made from a shiny black leather, and the dash was a shiny dark gray with a bunch of different dials. As soon as we reached my house, Kyle jumped out of the driver's seat. Then he ran to the passenger side of the car and opened the door for me. I accepted the hand he was holding out to me. Then he gently pulled me to my feet. I was still wary about everything that was happening, but I was getting too tired and weak to keep debating everything in my head. I let Kyle lead me to the front door. Then I walked into my house. Right away, my parents started singing Happy Birthday like they had every year when I came home from school. Their eyes both widened when they saw Alpha Kyle walk in behind me, but they made sure to finish singing the celebration song for me. As soon as I blew out the candles, they both turned to Kyle and respectfully greeted him with a bow. Then my dad warily asked, "What brings you here, Alpha Kyle?" My mate cleared his throat. Then he cheerfully explained, "Your daughter is my mate. I have come to help her pack her belongings so she can join me at the pack house." Instantly, my mom squealed with joy as she set the cake down. Then she wrapped her arms around me and excitedly mumbled, "Congratulations, sweetie. I'm so happy for you." "Thanks, Mom. I'm going to miss living here," I solemnly replied. "My darling girl, don't be sad about moving. You are starting a new chapter in your life, a chapter that will be filled with love that comes from finding your true mate," she enthusiastically cooed. I flashed her a small smile. Then I cheekily replied, "Before I do anything else, I want a piece of that amazing cake." "Of course," she happily chirped. Then she grabbed the cake and walked to the kitchen with me right behind her. I could hear my dad and Kyle talking in the living room, but I didn't even try to zero in on their conversation, since I knew my dad wouldn't be saying anything out of line to our Alpha. After my mom cut the cake, I sat down with her at the dining table and quietly ate my piece of deliciousness. I zoned out while thinking about Lance, and how this was going to stop me from being able to leave the pack and visit him. I was honestly bummed about that fact, and I couldn't understand why my thoughts kept going back to him, even after learning that Kyle was my mate. After about 10 minutes of zoning out, Kyle joined us in the kitchen and nonchalantly asked, "Are you ready to get your stuff packed?" "No, but I guess I don't have a choice in the matter," I dejectedly muttered. "Alana, why aren't you happy about being my mate?" he anxiously asked, with a frown on his face. I felt a little bad for acting like I was, so I flashed him a smile and responded, "It's not that I'm not happy. I'm just not ready for all of these changes. I've spent my whole childhood with this house being my safe haven, the only place I could go and be truly safe from everybody that treated me like I was a nobody. I put a stop to that nonsense 7 years ago. You should be over that by now," he warily stated in return. "You might have thought you put a stop to it, but there was still one person that took every opportunity she could to punish me for being weak," I defiantly retorted. "Who?" he asked, with a look of pure anger in his eyes. I looked down at the floor. Then I solemnly mumbled, "Julie, along with her group of minions." "When? What else has she done since then?" he angrily asked. I lifted my dress up, just enough to show him the bruise she gave me a few days prior, and he instantly gasped before he dropped to his knees in front of me. He gently trailed his fingertips over the large bruise that covered more than half of my abdomen as he whispered, "What did she do to my beautiful mate?" "Julie had her minions hold me while she kicked me in the stomach twice," I angrily snarled. Kyle growled in anger. Then he leaned closer and placed a soft kiss on my belly. The sweet gesture warmed my heart, and it helped me ease some of the worry I was feeling about moving in with him. As soon as he pulled his lips away from my abdomen, I flashed him a smile and timidly stated, "I'm ready to pack now." He jumped to his feet with a wide smile on his face. Then he excitedly gushed, "I'll help you. I can't wait to show you our suite at the pack house. You are going to love it." Kyle followed me to my bedroom. Then we quickly packed the things that were most important to me. When I was done, I gave both of my parents tight hugs and told them bye. Then we left my childhood home and headed toward the pack house.